Today is Thursday, November 29th, 2018. You're watching the Daily Mix TV by hillSTORY Marketing. Hi, my name is Sean Patrick Hillman. You know what you don't see anymore? People lining up at neighborhood or mom and pop bookstores like they did when I was a kid. Well, that is unless it's a politically oriented book launch like Bush, Clinton, or Obama. Now, this is especially true, as I said, of mom and pop shops, which virtually don't exist anymore. The big box retailers like Barnes & Noble, that's one thing where you've got some consistent traffic, but mom and pop stores really were the centers of their communities for a very long time. Now, the decades of hammering competition from the likes of Barnes & Noble as well as Borders virtually bankrupted the mom and pop book business. Then came along Amazon, a bigger dog in the chain, which eradicated most of the big box players. I mean, after all, Borders doesn't exist anymore, and Barnes & Noble is teetering on the verge of closing. Well, all of that is about to change. And remember, I've always said, everything in life is cyclical, especially trend. So as an example, on the Upper West Side, Shakespeare Co. is making a return 22 years after tough competition from Barnes & Noble forced it out of the neighborhood. Now, some of you may be asking, why the hell is someone opening a bookstore now? Well, the owners of Shakespeare Co. say they know that with the convenience of Amazon and e-readers like the Kindle, they have to do a lot more than just offer bestsellers. That's why this new store comes with a cafe and a machine called the Espresso. No, it's not a cup of coffee. It's a machine that can print books that aren't on the shelves. So Shakespeare Co. CEO Dane Neller made a statement basically alluding to the fact that, look, you can go into a 2,000 square foot store and ask for a book in any language. If it's not on the shelf, here you go. Go have a cup of coffee at our cafe, and we'll get the book to you in 3 minutes when we print it on demand. We have the technology to be able to do that today. You see, for a while, Shakespeare Co. had several locations across the city until all but one existed on the Upper East Side. Experts are now saying, and this is where the trend cycle comes in, that small booksellers are slowly starting to make a comeback. And a lot of that is being fueled by baby boomers. Remember, baby boomers are the last big generation that basically had that sort of live and die mentality by a bookstore. It was the center of their community if they grew up in a small town, or in a city like New York, you used to be able to go into Barnes & Noble, buy a cup of coffee, and you could sit there and read all day long. Obviously, that changed with the internet. Now, basically, these small bookstores act as a center of community for a lot of towns and cities, especially in a place like New York, in neighborhoods. I remember Shakespeare Co. on the Upper West Side when I was an actor. I used to love going there, talking to other actors, producers, playwrights, and so on, because I could learn more. So it's really nice to see that this is happening, and thank God, Shakespeare Co. said they're planning on opening more locations, including one in Greenwich Village, which is expected to open in the spring. Now, some unfortunate news coming out of the medical sector. According to new research from NYU, between 10 and 14% of nurses who began their careers between 2006 and 2016 have second jobs. Why? Well, first off, the Affordable Care Act made life a living hell not only for patients, but also for providers. They saw their overhead skyrocket while the health exchanges paid far less than the private insurance companies. That also drove up a lot of issues for doctors and practice owners, and unfortunately, nurses were laid off. So nurses say they're moonlighting due to stagnant wages, student loan debt, heavy patient loads, and long hours. Now, while some nurses are picking up extra hours to offset those losses, others are driving for Uber, selling crafts on platforms like Etsy, or they're even consulting to other practices to help them avoid those cuts. Now, sadly, studies have found that those with side jobs collaborate less with clinicians, and patient satisfaction suffers greatly. So, while I get it, unfortunately, we're the makers of this problem. We should have looked further down the road than just a couple of years on the ACA to see what kind of effect it was going to have to our providers. We have a shortage of qualified doctors and nurses now, and that is a very, very scary prospect with the baby boomer generation walking into retirement. Now, are you getting ready to deck the halls? Well, it certainly is that time of year. You're going to pay more than usual thanks to a continuing Christmas tree shortage, though. The industry is feeling the effects of the Great Recession, which forced some companies out of business and led others to plant fewer trees to save money. Since it takes about 10 years to grow a Christmas tree, the effects of the economic downturn are only hitting now. So, as an example, the Pacific Northwest Christmas Tree Association warned people expect fewer trees and higher prices while shopping this year. Dove Chocolate is preparing consumers for the holiday season by unveiling a new line of confections that contain flavors inspired by the latest culinary trends. The new collection features classic milk and dark chocolate varieties and includes bourbon vanilla dark chocolate, salted caramel blonde chocolate, raspberry rosé dark chocolate, and almond brittle milk chocolate. The 3.3 ounce new Dove chocolate bars will retail for $1.99 beginning in December. So for a company like Dove, they do release a flavor or two every year. I love their chocolate. Great company, very smart in how they do their branding and marketing, especially their sales. They really know how to dial up that meter very quickly around key power periods like the holiday season. Now for this week's Throwback Thursday. 33 years ago this week, this Christmas tale hit theaters.
The prophecy has come to pass that there would come to us a chosen one, and that he himself would be an artist and a skilled maker of toys. From this day on, now and forever, you will bring our gifts to all the children in all the world. This is your legacy and your gift, as is the gift of flight.
It's them!
Every year, the magic happens again.
Merry Christmas! It certainly should be.
Until now.
What are you? I'm an elf. An elf? Yes. You mean like a fairy?
I mean, I'm talking modern methods of production here. I'm talking assembly line. I'm talking way for the future.
Now someone wants to take the magic out of Christmas.
We say bigger, better. It's going to cost you.
Cost? Cost who?
The people who buy the toy.
Well, nothing. We're going to give them away free.
For free?
Well, that's how we do it at the North Pole.
Well, that's not how we do it here. Santa Claus is finished.
I just wanted him to see what a good assistant I could be.
Only one man can stop him. Only one man can help us. And he's coming to take you for a sleigh ride in the stars. Alexander Salkind presents Dudley Moore and John Lithgow. The legend comes to life for the very first time. With all the magic, all the adventure, all the wonder. Santa Claus, the movie. Seeing is believing. And Alexander and Ilya Salkind.
Santa Claus the movie came out in 1985, starring David Huddleston, Dudley Moore, and John Lithgow, unfortunately grossing less than half of its total production budget. So that was classified as a rabid failure. Unfortunately, it was the last film of father and son duo Alex and Ilya Salkind, who was responsible for bringing us the Superman franchise in the 70s and 80s, starring Christopher Reeve. Eventually, though, this tale did become a cult classic, and it is aired every single year. I look forward to it. I love Dudley Moore and John Lithgow, two of my favorite actors. When you talk about Christmas movies and things like that, it's always interesting to hear people's opinions. I happen to like the film for a good Sunday afternoon or rainy Sunday to rest and just watch TV and catch up. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the CEO of hillSTORY Marketing. I'm also the editor-in-chief of the Daily Mix TV. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you tomorrow on Friday.